songs of Martin Page, all day, all night, forever. So grab a cup of tea, settle down with us in the Owl's Nest. Oh, I used to love that sound. Used to be lying in bed as a young kid in Southampton and trying to tune into Radio Luxembourg or Radio Caroline with a little transistor radio in bed late at night. You felt like a rebel. I could never find it. Where is it? I could never find it. And then all of a sudden you just connected into the right station and you were thrilled. It was like Christmas. What a sound. Radio searching, radio tuning on a veteran radio. I don't know why that thrills me so much. But I think you've tuned into the right station. It's Radio Owlsnest. Thank you for being here. Another episode. Onward we go. Oh, I just needed a bit more of that. It just made me feel so warm and so bloody cosy. Okay, that's enough of playing around with the radio tuning knob. So let's play some music. This is a songwriter's podcast. All my songs from my vaults, from my archives, or my old demos. Very egocentric show, just all my stuff. I'd like to play you a song. Why is that reverb on? That always happens to me. There's a fader that's up that shouldn't be up. Okay, we'll just move on. I'm going to play you a song called I Know a Man, a demo from the 90s that has never been played before. Found it in a suitcase on a cassette. Give it a listen. I Know a Man. There's so many things to say about that song. I did literally lose it for the longest time. I couldn't find a DAT of it. I couldn't find a cassette of it. I knew I had it somewhere, but ransacking through my studios in my house, no sign. But I remember a song called I Know a Man. Now, I wrote that in the 90s, and it was just before I was preparing to do In the House of Stone and Light album, my first debut album on Mercury Records. And I was experimenting. I found my voice at that point, and you can hear on this demo that I was very romantic in my sense of where I should be writing lyrics from and singing from. It's an intimate song, really, but also I was very much into rhythm. So I was listening back now here, this, again, very slight reggae feel, a bit of that Thompson Twins bubble underneath, and I was really trying to find my voice and my sound, which was going to lead on to In the House of Stone and Light. I think I wrote that song probably about 3 months before I started the House of Stone and Light album. I was trying to get lots of songs together, and for a period I thought maybe this song might brew into being on the album. I've been working also with Paul Young, and I think a lot of the singing styles and the feeling I was getting with my falsetto vocals was evident here. All drum, all me, all bits of guitar. I was pointing really towards what I was going to do a little bit later down the line. Demo from the 90s, I Know a Man.
Release the Kraken!
Oh, I've always wanted to say that. Release the Kraken! I've always wanted to say that. Let's hear it again.
Release the Kraken!
No, I'm going to do it again. Release the Kraken! I can hear all my neighbours next door coming out into the street and going, what the fuck is going on? And I never knew what the Kraken was until I looked it up. And the Kraken is a great big sea monster with lots of tentacles. Used to come out of the sea. And all the mariners thought that this thing was bigger than the world and ate their ships. Releasing the Kraken is not a good thing. But I'm going to release the Kraken now and play a song from King Scatterbox. Yeah, that's when you want the echo. King Scatterbox, a song called Funk and Wonder. Release the Kraken!
says a big bubble, think about thinking about that double bow. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know what I'm gonna say. Down by the walls and the big tit stores and the big bomb radios. In this world, they say love is a final word. The priest says the vegan and the beast and the big down devil and the road. The nun goes down and the big gets round and the cha-cha-cha-cha-cha fall down. I don't know what they're gonna say. Hey, I don't know what they're gonna say. God, I'm taking them bow, but bow, but won't get far. In this world, we say love is a final word. In this world, gee, we say if I tell the throttle first, the pyramids are made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say love is a final word. Digging down deep on a bone, my scoop got a big fat fucking on my nose. Got a hot nut side, a skim on bow with the bodies don't wanna go. I don't know what you're gonna say. I don't know what they're gonna say. Sky, the bar, the bigger than the wild, they make my body wanna reach. In this world, I say love is a final word. I got blood, digging from my blood. My veins got burning and I ain't got enough. Pharaoh, barrel, zero, marrow, lick and get on with it, get so now. You don't know what I'm gonna say. You don't know what I'm gonna say. And got to come up with what I did. I'm a mama knows. In this world, we say love is a final word. In this world, gee, we say the towers, the throne fires, the pyramids are made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say love is a final word. In this world, gee, we say the towers, the throne fires, Stonehenge was made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say in this world, gee, we say I told your face Atlantis was made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say in this world, gee, we say I told your face the pyramids were made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say in this world, gee, we say I told your face Stonehenge was made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say in this world, gee, we say if I told your face Atlantis was made by an alien race. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Got the funk and wonder, got the funk and wonder. In this world, we say
Bloody hell, that's a long song. King Scatterbox, a little bit of a side band for me. It's my alter ego. I had great fun putting out an EP last year of 6 songs called King Scatterbox. In fact, I was testing to see if CD Baby, that had stopped making physical CDs, if their distribution through the period of the virus and everything was good for iTunes and all the other internet places. So I thought I'm going to have some fun and do this King Scatterbox. The Kraken has got me! King Scatterbox EP. Pretty cool name, really, I think. And I wanted to let loose, be funky, experiment, think of all the experiments in the studio I've always wished to do, and to be crazy and take the Kraken on. So that's King Scatterbox. It's out there, and I'm quite proud of it, actually. It's an alter ego band of mine. I told my fans about it, and they said, yeah. I said, it's pretty good. And they went, yeah, okay. We prefer you doing ballads like I Know a Man. But I said, what about the Kraken? No, we still like you doing ballads. Anyway, that's King Scatterbox, and it's called Funk and Wonder. And I wrote that. If you listen to the words there, you know, can you believe that the pyramids were made by the human race? I was watching those TV series on the History Channel. I think ancient aliens inspired that. Who made Stonehenge? Hey? You think it's cavemen, but oh no, it's the Kraken. It's all those aliens out there. Can you hear that? It's not the Kraken, but it is the tea boiling. Sorry, gotta stop. Gotta get me a cup of tea.
Hi, this is Trevor Thornton here, the unfortunate drummer behind Q-Phil.
Who?
It's all right, I'm still recovering in the asylum.
Who?
I'll get better. Thank you for your sympathy.
I don't know who that is. Anyway, moving on. Who let him in?
Bootsy, my fellow, I've always enjoyed making people feel inferior to me. But recently, I've lost the thrill of making people grovel.
We'll be hearing from Bootsy later on. And, Bob Bootsy, that's all you really tune in for. He's the star of the show. I could play no music. I could just put Bootsy on for the whole hour, and it would be much more successful, wouldn't it? Okay, I'll be there in a minute. Here's a song called Oceans from my album called Fugitive Pieces. It's the last track on the album, Oceans.
Ocean, separate our hearts tonight. Ocean, stretching out between our lives. You and I are left here drowning in blue. Ocean, drifting far apart on sorrow's tides. Here we lay in a bed so big and wide. No more words can bridge this distance. Stranded here on an island of jealousy, we're looking out on an empty horizon. Oceans, separate our hearts tonight. Oceans, stretching out between our lives. You and I are left here drowning in blue. Oceans, drifting far apart on sorrow's tides. Here we lay in a bed that is sinking fast, and silence fills all the space that divides us. Waves collide as we search for a sign of life, but love has died on an empty horizon. Oceans, separate our hearts tonight. Oceans, stretching out between our lives. You and I are left here drowning in blue. Ocean, drifting far apart on sorrow's tides. Oceans, separate our hearts tonight. Oceans, stretching out between our lives.
That's a track called Oceans from an album of mine called Fugitive Pieces, an album which is very different from me, a very intimate record in which I sat down and really did a lot of the songs instantly, stream of thought, playing the piano like the old days. In my own mind, it's one of the best albums I've ever released because of its intimacy and because it was vocally sung in a very natural and instant way. So that's Fugitive Pieces, a song called Oceans. Let's take a little walk up my staircase into my little library. I think it's time to review a book that I'm enjoying. Every now and then on my Instagram account, I get a chance to point towards a book I'm reading and a book that might appeal to you as well. Some of you may know that I love the romantic poets and the era of romanticism that really hit literature, particularly in Britain. Keats, Shelley, Wordsworth, Byron. Yes, they affected me even since I was a kid. I loved reading their sense of romanticism. And there's a book out which I'm really enjoying, I've had for a while, and it's called British Romanticism and the Science of the Mind. It's by a guy called Alan Richardson, who knows his stuff. It's a wonderful book because really you're looking at what motivated a lot of this writing at that period. Also looking at the brain, the science of the brain. For instance, the dreams, Coleridge and his poem Kubla Khan, written under the influence of opium and the dreams he was having. Very interesting way of going in deep into the inspiration behind all the romantic writers and poets of that era. It might sound a touch over-intellectual, but it makes a lot of common sense, actually, because it relates to me in the sense that of creativity and songwriting, that so much is written, as I know, through subconscious and being unconscious of really where you're going. And I think that that's why it speaks to me, is where does that inspiration come from? So I thought I'd read you a few lines from the book. This comes from the introduction. This is a book about romantic literary culture and the brain in Great Britain from the 1790s to around 1830. It argues both that the pioneering neuroscience of the era manifests a romantic character and that literary romanticism intersects in numerous and significant ways with the physiological psychology of the time. It aims, in short, to give the brain a central place in the history of the romantic mind. So there we are. The book is called British Romanticism and the Science of the Mind, and it's by Alan Richardson. Now, are we ready? Are we really ready to go back to the 80s? Thank you very much. I'm going back to 1988. I wrote a song with the great Cliff Magnus. We wrote a song called One Way Out. I remember starting the song at my house, then going over to Cliff's place, and we did the whole demo there at his place, and it was eventually recorded on the Caddyshack 2 soundtrack by an artist called Eric Martin. I had 2 tracks on that Caddyshack 2 soundtrack. This song, One Way Out, and also Turn on the Beatbox by Earth, Wind and Fire. Very prolific at that time. But this was the demo we did before it was recorded for Caddyshack 2. And Cliff is singing it, and my goodness me, tight trousers, what a high voice. A great singer, Cliff, and he played all that rock guitar. And I did some of the keyboards with him and some of the background vocals. I remember we had this little amp. He had an amp already set up, really quite powerful, in his closet. And he opened the door and there was all the microphones and there was the rock setup all ready to go. I learnt a lot from Cliff. But anyway, this is the original demo. Never heard before, and I hope Cliff gets to hear it again, from 1988, One Way Out.
two different worlds. It's the place where we have to meet. Whoa, we're living a broken dream. While the city sleeps, we'll be feeding the hunger under cover of darkness. We'll escape from the thunder, turn our backs on madness. Whoa, they can't tell us what's wrong or what's right. So let's break the rules tonight. Oh, what are we waiting for? We know there's one way out. Oh, what are we fighting for? Love is the only way out. We're gonna tear down the walls and hold our love. Daylight pulls us apart, but someday this is gonna end. 'Cause there's hope in this heart. We won't be trapped on this corner again. Whoa, we've had enough this time, so let's take the chance tonight. Oh, what are we waiting for? We know there's one way out. Oh, it's worth fighting for. Love is the only way out. We're gonna tear down the walls and hold our They can tell us what's wrong or what's right. So let's break the rules tonight. We know there's one way out. Love is the only way out. We're gonna tear down the walls and hold our love. What are we waiting for? We know there's one way out. Oh, it's worth fighting for. Love is the only way out. We're gonna tear down the walls. We know there's one way out. What are we fighting for? Love is the only way out. What are we waiting for?
It was a great privilege to write with Cliff Magnus. He came from that big background with Quincy Jones, and I came from the sort of Earth, Wind and Fire camp. And it was a joy to work together. We never stopped laughing. We seemed to have the same sense of humour, and he was a great lad, and still is, and a great solo career as well. What a vocalist. We were rocking. Yes, we were rocking, and it was that era, the 80s, 88 actually, when all those kinds of records were on MTV, weren't they? And hair was long, and it was rocking away. We actually went down to the studio when they recorded the actual master on Caddyshack 2 with Eric Martin, and I think that Cliff was involved in some of the background vocals and playing some of the guitar while I just stood back in the corner laughing, which is the kind of thing I did in the 80s. I just giggled and giggled and giggled. Anyway, still giggling, you could hear. That was a demo that I'm pleased to play. I hope Cliff gets to hear that again. It was called One Way Out. And by the way, it's an 8-track demo. Yes, all that you've just heard is on 8 tracks. Oh, those were the days. And those were the days. I'm tuning the knob again on the Veteran Radio The transistor. I can't resist
The
it.
universe is a very strange place, full
okay.
of mysteries and odd possibilities
All right.
that, while scientists ceaselessly try to figure them out,
Okay.
may remain complete unknowns forever.
Complete unknowns forever. That's like a lot of my demos here in my vaults. I want to play you now a song called Ash Glory from a new ambient instrumental album of mine called The Occupation of Hope. Very proud of my second instrumental ambient album, an album called The Occupation of Hope, and that's one of the tracks on the album, and it's called Ash Glory. Oh, it's that lovely, lovely sound of music. You'll hear that in the lifts, in the supermarkets, in the doctor's waiting room. A lot of my music is now played in those places, but we won't talk about that too much because it brings me down. But this glorious music does signify that it's that time that you've been waiting for. You couldn't care less about any of the songs I've played you. You couldn't care less about the first 30 minutes or odds of the show. You want that moment we've been longing for. The Bootsy moment, where Bootsy, the feline black cat, eats 17 pouches of fancy feast food and answers the most profound questions about life. The genius black cat of Ironing Board Records is primed and ready. So once again, it's time for...
The Wisdom of Bootsy.
And today's question comes from Farmer Giles Dipnell from Titchfield, Hampshire, Southern England.
Hello, Bootsy. When I'm milking my cows, I see in my fields crop circles. Does that mean that my cows are extraterrestrials? A man throws a stick and a dog brings it back in an endless slobbery loop. I would leave the stick where it lands as a reminder of the transitory nature of our being. Or is that the catnip speaking?
No.
The Wisdom of Bootsy.
Yes, very perceptive of Bootsy. He'll be back next month to answer your frightening questions about suffering and life. I hope that answered the question for Farmer Giles Dipnell of Titchfield, Hampshire, Southern England. Well, it's time to play a song from the archives, a song that hasn't been played by me anywhere for the longest of times. It's a song called Silent World, and I remember writing this, I think around the mid-90s, and again I was developing that sound I was trying to find for my own solo career. And it came to mind that I remember some children that I was at school with when I was a kid, in secondary school, Redbridge, back in Southampton. And there'd been a bit of trouble in the school where the kids were being molested at home and the teachers weren't taking any response at all to it. It made quite big headlines, and I believe there were a couple of suicides at the school by students. And there was a lot of discussion about the students keeping everything hidden in their own, keeping everything silent and not being able to express themselves and the pain they were going through. Well, I wrote this song basically based on the concept of that, the silent world that many children have to live within. Too embarrassed and too afraid to tell any of their seniors, any of the adults, really, what was happening to them. So here's a very rare demo called Silent World.
Classroom, scared to go home. She's lost in thoughts she can't understand. Every night she feels her father's hands. Dreaming, I see your face pressed against the broken window pane. You're veil. In your eyes I see the words. Oh, I cry for help from inside your silent world. A quiet child, he stands alone in the corner of the schoolyard, scared to go home. Inside his coat, his brother's gone. His hands are cold, his heart is numb. Joy, I see your face pressed against a broken window pane. Sarah, your eyes so green, behind that beauty only violence screams. So lift this veil, in your eyes I see the words. Oh, I cry for help from inside your silent world. Across the river, behind the steel mill, to the place you always run to. You're safe at last, lay in the long grass and tremble in anger. Lord, keep us safe this night. Secure us from all our fears. The angels guard us while we sleep, till morning light appears. Lord, keep us safe this night. Secure us from all our fears. The angels guard us while we sleep, till morning light appears. Well, let me reach you through the driving rain. Oh, Sharon, I see your face pressed against a broken window pane. Jeremy, your eyes so blue, you have seen what evil men can do. Can I break through? Can I reach you? Oh, your cries will go unheard. No, Jamie, let me in your silent world. Peter, let me in your silent world. Through the dark sleep, oh, I still believe that love will one day reach into your silent world. Inside your silent world.
So that's a song, a demo called Silent World. I wrote that around the mid-90s, and a little bit about my experience of being in secondary school in England. There was a lot of silence with the kids being ignored by the teachers when they were telling stories of being molested at home and also being bullied. And I remember thinking how brave it must have been for the kids around my own age to be able to talk about things like that. So there's a song called Silent World.
The owl is a specialized hunting machine. Its talons are zygodactyl, two in front, two in back, and their grip is the strongest of the raptors. 500 pounds per square inch, 8 times stronger than the human.
This is why we wear gloves.
I should think so too. I would wear a glove as well. That brings to mind, strangely, a kind of connection here. I had a cat called Lord Andrew, and he bit me one day, and I thought nothing of it. Within about 7 hours, I was in hospital being operated on. Yes, his venom had got into my bloodstream, and they told me if I hadn't got into hospital then, I might have lost one of my grand fingers to play guitar with. So Andrew made his point and got into my bloodstream. And that leads me to a demo called Bloodstream that I wrote at the end of the 80s. It's very Eurythmics. It's a lot of fun and it's rather groovy. This is a song called Bloodstream.
You hook me like a drug. You give me such a rush. And now I dare not sleep. You're in my darkest dreams. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. This pleasure and this pain stealing through my veins, a poison mixed with cream. You will hear me scream. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until the light. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Yeah. No matter what I do, I just can't get over you. I see your face everywhere I go. You burn into my soul. Upon your bed of nails, I feel your fingernails until our passion blazes. A love that's so extreme. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Yeah. No matter what I do, I just can't get over you. I see your face everywhere I go. You burn into my soul. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until I lie. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until I lie. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until I lie. Baby, baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until I lie. Baby, you're in my bloodstream. Until baby,
You're in my bloodstream. My wonderful Lord Andrew. Yes, he put his gnashers down onto my hand and he was in my bloodstream, and I was in the hospital. That's a demo from, the late 80s, I believe, and it's called, as you just heard, Bloodstream. Very Eurythmics, very sort of Brian Ferry, very kind of 80s. Done on a 16-track, and I remember pulling out all those synthesizers that we grew up on. Juno 60s, Jupiter 8s, and Mini Moogs, all that stuff that makes you feel all warm and cozy and fuzzy. Bloodstream, keep it clean. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. I have no idea where that came from. I think I just said it one day. The elves. Thank you. Keep quiet. Yes, that was an official beep. That phrase, I'll be there in a minute. I have no idea where that came from. I think I said it once to my manager, and it stuck. And so there it is again. And the Tinkerbell that you heard there, it really signifies that we should give a quote out to the world. One of those moments when you all sit back and go, my God, that Pagey, he's so thoughtful. So let's do a quote of the month, not the day, not the week, a quote of the month. And the quote comes from Henry Thoreau. And here we go. I love a wide margin to my life. There we are. Short and to the point. Henry Thoreau. Let's do it again. I love a wide margin to my life. That does actually, I think, apply to me big time. Oh, the air raid sirens again. Keep on hearing them every evening. Stay inside! Not really. It's supposed to signify that something really quite nice is about to happen. And I think it is really quite nice. It is a new song. I'm looking up here at the clock, and it says we're at 56 minutes. Now, that's really quite a long show, but I think I'm going to play you a long song. A pretty new song. I've been writing it for quite a while. I'm working on it recently, and I think we're going to extend this show past the hour mark. Wake up! Wake up there at the back! Wake up! Very lucky if you can make yourself laugh. I've been locked away for such a long time. I tend to be the only one who can make myself laugh. Anyway, back to the subject. I want to play you what I've been working on. It's a song called Savannah. I wrote it on acoustic guitar, and all the memories came back from when I was quite a young lad down south in America. I had to come to South Carolina. I had to go to Beaufort, where my father was working with British Aerospace with the Harrier jump jet. So I was leaving school a great deal and coming to America and going to these outback places where they were doing trials on the Harrier jump jet. But I really got a chance to study where I was living, which was Charleston, Beaufort, South Carolina, and Savannah, and the countryside, the atmosphere, amazing. And it hadn't really changed a lot of these areas since the Civil War. And so I wrote this song, Savannah, because it's such really a beautiful city. I did get a chance to go back there and play the city when I was doing the In the House of Stone and Light tour, and it brought back a lot of memories. Anyway, those memories came flooding back as I was playing the acoustic guitar and writing this song. And I was thinking about that time when you went out into the amazing landscape and the swamps and the just huge expanses of beautiful, beautiful countryside, the mosses and the atmosphere and the heat. And I was told lots of stories about the battles that had happened around where I was in Beaufort and Charleston and South Carolina and Savannah in particular. And so I wrote this song through the eyes of a Confederate soldier that had been wounded and was thinking about his hometown, if he'd come from Savannah, a young soldier. When I was in the South, I met a lot of the soldiers on my father's air base that had to go and fight eventually in Vietnam, and they were just kids, and all they could think about before they went to Vietnam was where their homes were, and that they wanted to come back. So I wrote this song through the eyes of a Confederate soldier, and he's been wounded in a battle in the Civil War, and he's remembering Savannah, and he wants to go back there.
Follow me through the cotton fields, past the old mill, our house on the hill. there's a lady, a place that waits me beyond the blue light. In the cannons that were roaring, well, they ain't roaring anymore. I will lie down, I will rest here in this place. Oh, Savannah, I hear you calling. It's Sunday morning and I'm home. Sweet Savannah, hold me closer. It's getting cold now, but I'll be strong. For in the morning I'll be in your arms again. Let your fingers strum the old guitar. Let it rock you, take you away beyond the black smoke. Now I see you once again. Oh, Savannah, I hear you calling. It's Sunday morning and I'm home. Sweet Savannah, hold me closer. It feels so cold now, but I'll stay strong. For in the morning I'll be in your arms again. Let me rest here. The sun is setting across my face. Oh, Savannah, I hear you calling. It's Sunday morning and I'm home. Sweet Savannah, call me over. Yes, I'm walking without my gun. For there's no fighting to be done. When the clouds part so near, and when I see you, I am free. Sweet Savannah, upon the wheels, it's Sunday morning. I hear your song, and I am home now, where I belong.
So thank you for joining me for another episode of Radio Owlsnest. That's a song called Savannah, a new song which I've been touching up and still working on. putting some mandolin on and some more harmonies, as you can hear there. And I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you next time on Radio Owlsnest. Stay healthy, look after the animals, be good to yourself and all those around you. See you soon.